Try not to get it all over me.
Making a mess.
Grip it on here. And this is those pearl ones, remember, that I was showing you a minute ago.
See how it's running on the
such a mess
plastic?
with this. Don't do what I'm doing. And then finally, I'm going to put the yellow on. Take it up just a tad, and I'm just going to be careful with this. I'm not going to be as liberal with it because I don't want to turn my colors into mud. Then I'm going to take my glass.
So I'm not sure who asked the question earlier about adding alcohol, rubbing alcohol, but I did not. On this technique, you use just straight ink, and you use a lot of it. I probably used a quarter of a bottle of ink on this, unlike the others that just used a few drops at a time. This one took a lot of ink.
I'm going to put it in the middle. And this can be called the plastic method or the crinkle method. And I'm going to bring my corners up and I'm just going to rub it all over that surface like that. And I'm going to let it sit on there and get real good and solid on the glass. You can see I've just wrapped it all the way around. And when that has been sitting on there for a while, I'll take it off. I'll tell you how long I left it on there. I'll take it off and show you a picture of what that looks like.
So I left that for about 45 minutes before I took it off. My question when I was leaving it was, if I left it too long, would it actually cause the plastic to adhere to the glass? And I felt like 45 minutes was perfect on the glass jar. I felt like it didn't need to stay nearly as long on the plastic. It seemed to bond with the plastic relatively quickly. The other thing that I want to say right now, so I don't forget, is when I was studying the safety part of using alcohol inks, it's not food safe. There isn't a product on the market as of today's recording where there's food safe sealer or food safe alcohol ink. So when you're using it on a glass, what they were saying was try to avoid the area around the top of the glass where you would put your mouth. So that was the answer to that. Now I put it on this plate, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a few minutes as well. What I would do if I was going to serve on this is I put a clear glass plate on top of it, so that the pattern would shine through, or I could just use it as a decoration. So the final technique, this is the fourth technique, is called blotting.
So this is the stencil method, and this is a stencil that I chose for this. I like this stencil because it's got basically 3 designs in it, and I have 3 colors that I'm going to use. And then I've chosen a white glass plate, also from the dollar store, to use for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my lightest color first, and I'm going to use my most, I don't know what I want to call that, but this has the least amount of overall design to it. So I want to make that as much my base as I can. So I'm going to take my yellow alcohol ink, butterscotch. Don't need to shake it, although that can be habit, can't it? And I'm going to soak my sponge with it, with the yellow, with the butterscotch. It's okay to leave this open. It's designed so that you can leave it open. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to just start swooshing right over.
What I learned, 2 things that I did differently as I went along. One was I started on those alcohol pads, instead of putting it on the end of the side, I literally started putting it on the very end, and I liked that better for control. So on the very end instead of the end of the side. The other thing that I found is when it was really soaking wet, it would run under the stencil a little bit. And what I found is I just one time put it down on a paper towel first. It almost did not run under the stencil at all. Right. So that was very helpful.
Design. And I'm going to do it again. Like it, I can tell already that I like it better, not quite as wet as it was when I did it there in the center. One of the things about this kind of shabby chic design or multimedia grunge look is that a lack of perfection is what is expected with this. So I don't need to get the complete design. I just need to make it look like they're.
So like right here, you can see it looks more like an ink blob than a design. That's where it ran underneath. And I got better and better at that as I went along.
Is design there, and so you can see I'm going up on the edges, and I'm not getting as much on the edges as I got in the center, and because I'm working on a curved design, but that's okay. It gives you that overall grunge look, and that's what I'm going for. Put a little bit more. I'm going to put it more toward the tip this time, because that seems to be where my thumbs want to press down, and I'm just pressing that down.
See, notice my fingernails.
Alcohol ink dries very quickly, so I can get
talk about that in a minute.
Design on relatively quickly. I'm going to throw this away, and I'm going to go to my red next, and I'm going to use this design that's right here in the corner, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the butterfly that's blue over here, and I'll come back with a picture of that in the end.
What questions do you have at this point? I'm going to go back for just a second. This jar right here was a little jar I got from Hobby Lobby with a top on it. I used exactly that same method that I just showed you, that blotting method without a stencil. And the only trick to this one is when you put your sponge down, I put all three colors on the sponge, and then you put it down and then you turn it, and you put it down and you turn it and you put it down. And that makes the pattern more random. I was really pleased at how that looked after I got enough alcohol ink on it. And neither one of these projects, as you may have noticed, use the isopropyl alcohol. So that was my finished plate using the blotting method and the finished jar. And I also, you can't see it on here very well, but I also decorated the top with the ink blots. Questions? I see a chat question.
When you used your blotter, did you have any alcohol on it to begin with?
No. I did not use any alcohol with that. And hold on just one sec. I'll grab my, I got these from one of the, it wasn't a dollar store, but I bet they have them at the dollar store. These were the cosmetic sponges that I got, and they're triangle shaped. And so what I was trying to explain in the video, or when the video was playing, was, can you see how it's kind of a triangle shape? In the video, I was putting the ink here. After I got going with it a bit, I liked it a lot better on the end itself. It gave me a lot of control. And so in the blotted one on the left there, I put it in 3 stripes. So the, one on the outside, the yellow in the middle, and the pink on the other side. So, and then I just pushed, blotted, pushed, blotted, pushed. What other questions might you have? So cleaning the surface, I'm not going to show this video because I want to give you time for questions and answers, but this is what I was doing with the cookie sheet earlier, where I just literally sprayed the cookie sheet down with the rubbing alcohol and wiped it off. Because I didn't do it immediately while it was still very, very wet, it left like this stain behind. It won't hurt anything. It's not going to get on anything in the future. So, so it's not a problem, but I'm just going to really keep that cookie sheet for this project. When I was watching videos on how other people were doing this, the one, I think if I was going to do this a lot, I would invest in a glass mat. That looked like it was ideal. You can't really stain a glass mat from what it was looking like to me. And then finally, I want to show you, my hands were an absolute disaster when I got done. I worked I probably painted with the alcohol for about 3 hours yesterday. When I got done, my hands were total grunge, and I want to show you what I did.
This hand sanitizer when I was in town. And my understanding is that it takes all of the alcohol ink off. So let's see what it does with my skin. I use it, as you can see, I just used a gauze because I've got a whole bunch of the ink on my hands.
See it dissolving?
You see it's coming off. What I suspect it's not going to come off of, however, is my fingernails. And so I may go back later on and try to hit my fingernails with some bleach. But I'm going to go to the kitchen and I'm going to finish washing it off. But I wanted you to see that the hand sanitizer does dissolve it.
I did actually, my fingernails are perfect today. I put it in straight bleach, and I know you're not supposed to do that, but I can't stand the feeling of rubber gloves on my hands. So I'd rather deal with the ink than the rubber gloves. So why seal it? Well, you seal it because it protects it. Do you have to seal it? Kind of the verdict's out on that. It tends to be personal preference. You can't reactivate it with water, but if you got it near any rubbing alcohol or any other kind of solvent, again, it would reactivate it. So that's why you might seal it. I already showed you the one that I've got. Here are some of the other recommendations that I found online. But I'll just say it one more time. There's nothing that's food safe. So if you use it on your dishes, make sure, you know, if it's glass, that your mouth's not going to touch the part that's ink. If you use it on a plate, use a cover plate over the top of it. Here's some safety tips. Make sure that you use, I should say, a well-ventilated, there's a typo on there, a well-ventilated area. So if you can have your windows open and a fan on, some people use ventilators. I did see, like, you can, one of the things, I used a hairdryer to move the ink around, but a couple of things that I saw demonstrated were those like bulb syringes, and another one was a drinking straw. And they were not, the straw was not recommended because you would be actually potentially sucking back up some of the fumes straight into your lungs, and it can be dangerous over time. It sounds like it's not going to hurt you if you do it once or twice, but if you did it over time, it can be dangerous. Wear gloves, remember that it's flammable, and wash with hand sanitizer to remove it from your skin. Here's a few tips and tricks. Wipe it off with rubbing alcohol and paper towel, a cosmetic wedge, or like I did with the hand sanitizer. I know I'm saying this a lot, do it in a well-ventilated area and wear gloves. Isopropyl alcohol comes in different strengths. 91% is the one that's recommended. However, 70% will work. Protect your work surface. It did splatter some, especially when I was using the hairdryer. Hair dryers are fun for moving the ink around on the surface, but there are other things that you can do. And remember that if you put too much ink in one area, it can turn it into the color of mud and not be very attractive. I'm going to copy this and put it into the email that you'll get at the close of the class. These are 2 Facebook Lives done by Tim Holtz. I would consider him the guru on ink. I love his presentations. He's very thorough and very detailed. He did 2 of these Facebook Lives. One was on June 20th of last year, and the other one was on June 27th. You'll notice the first one was 2.5 hours long, and the second one was 3.5 hours long. It's like a course. It's like a full-out course on alcohol inks. But if you have a deeper interest in it, if I wetted your whistle, he is a fantastic presenter on this topic. So we've learned why the class was inspired by Chihuly, what alcohol ink is, 4 techniques for using alcohol ink on glass, and some tips and tricks and safety measures for using alcohol ink. What questions might you have at this time? And I'm going to stop the share for just a second so I can see you as you ask me questions. What questions might you have? Or what are you going to try? What have I inspired you to do today? Dawn, you got one in mind?
I'm not sure. I just have this piece of glass that I buy my cat wheat. It's wheatgrass. And it comes in a square black thing, and I put it in here, you know, so that the water doesn't leak. And I don't think the cat cares whether it turns out good or not. So I'm going to do it on there as an experiment.
I think that is a great idea. Did you have a favorite technique? One that was most interesting to you?
You know, I might try one technique on each side or something. I have
That's
so.
great idea. One of the things that I buy is called Ouy yogurt. It's spelled O-U-I. It comes in these lovely large, the one that I use that had the top on it. I was thinking that would be a great gift, like a stocking stuffer for Christmas or something like that. And also if you go on Amazon and you type in Ouy jar covers, they make like cork covers and other kinds of covers, so you can actually turn it into a covered container. Other people, what do you think you might like to try? No brave souls on here today? You're such a quiet bunch. All right, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen and do our closeout for today. I want to thank each of you for being part of my class today. It was a lot of fun. I'd be especially if you give me some feedback afterwards by scrolling down in the email to the feedback loop. I would love some feedback on how you felt about the pacing, how you felt about the videos. All of these things are of interest to me as I get started doing these craft videos for Get Set Up. If you want to share your experience directly with Get Set Up, you can do so by emailing Liz at getsetup.io. She loves to hear from our learners. Know that there are other related classes. I think John already put it in the chat box. The colorful World of Chihuly will be again on May 15th with Donna. Here's a couple other classes that were related to Mother's Day, which is this Sunday, in case you've forgotten. Count your blessings and create a playlist for mom. My next classes, I'm doing one on paper flowers, one on learning to knit, learning to crochet, 10-minute table runner, which is simple sewing. I'm doing one on counted cross stitch. And I'm also doing one that's a kind of a self-help pop psychology called 10 thinking errors and strategies to overcome those. You'll get my class notes afterwards. I'll be sending an attachment. The attachment is the safety guide on using alcohol inks. When you use these things inside a business, you actually have to have these on file, but it's all the safety tips that would go along with using alcohol ink. Here's what, if you click on that give feedback, this is what it looks like. And you can rate the session, you can rate me, and you can leave comments and suggestions in there as well. You can invite a friend. After you register for one of our classes, you just click on one of these options and you can invite a friend to join us. That's how we grow. I love to have people here. We'd love to have you join Get Set Up by hosting an interest group, suggesting new classes, share your organization with us so that we might reach out to them. And remember, again, if you want to see this, see part or all of this presentation again, you can request a session recording by emailing help@getsetup.io. After I finish this, I will stay on in case anybody would like some help registering for other classes or to answer any other questions that you might have. So what questions might you have right now? All right, I think we may be done. It's been so nice to be with you. Good luck. Good luck, Dawn. I'd love to see your project sometime if you join me in another class. All right, thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Great Mother's Day. Great Cinco de Mayo. Don't eat too much Mexican food.